could go sometimes, some seconds without even talking. So I love you. Thank you for joining. Thanks, man. Thank you, bro. And sisters, thank you for being here. Skip ahead 5 minutes. I just like to, for the live stream, I push out a lot of audio, but for the live stream, I like to kind of check 1, 2. I'm just doing some microphone checks. So I just want to make sure that we're sounding good. Want to make sure that we're sounding sexy. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to make sure I'm sounding sexy and I can't sing. All right. Hope y'all doing well, man. I really do. Well, most of you. No, just kidding. I'm just kidding. You know what I'm saying? Just kidding. Let me upload this too. Let's get to it, man. We're going to have a kind of a cool show. You know what I'm saying? We're going to have a kind of a cool show. If I click on that, then what happens? Oh, wow. That's cool. That's real cool. That's real cool. Yeah, I like this one better. There it is. Oh, got to move over. Oh, then I got that lower third there. It's just too much going on. You know what I'm saying? Way too much going on. All right. Let me go here. Let me go here. Oh. Erica, Erica, I want to get Erica. What up, girl? Miss Erica. I'm just, doing my thing. You know what I'm saying? Boom. Just talking to my boy Ant. I'm going to have him come on the show. I'm going to have him come on the show, and I'm going to get him so pissed, and we're going to talk about shit. You know what I'm saying? She said, on time. I'm so proud of you. I am. I am really proud of you. You're on time. You are on time. Okay. Oh, there we go. I just want to make sure. Do you got a URL yet, Erica? Like nestandniche.com right here on stuccimedia.com. You got one yet? I don't know if you have one yet. Because I'll do it, we'll start letting people know what's up. You know what I'm saying? We'll start letting people know what's up. All right, folks, listen, let's see. We got about 3 minutes? Let me see. Where's my clock? Oh my God, I can't see. I'm going blind. That's all right. I'll look on my phone. It's so much easier. Oh, wait, what? Oh, 8. Okay. Starting at 7 on the nose. So we got about a minute and a half. Oh, I'm nervous. I don't even know what to do. I'm so nervous. I haven't done this before. I'm kind of rusty, I'm kind of rusty in my ear. Let me turn it up. So when I sing like that, actually, just so people know, I'm just not always a freak. Most of the time I am, but not always. I'm actually kind of in my own way doing a sound check. I'm checking my levels, my high levels, just in case I get emotional on the show. Levels look good. Didn't even look at them when I was staring at you in the eye. We're good. We're good. I'm feeling really good about this right now. I am feeling really good about things. All right. Let me go here. Let me go to brand. Let me shut this off. I don't want that on. Let me shut that off. Boom. I just shut that off. See that? I'm learning how this works. All right. Boom, 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 boom. I'm not even going to do the banner. I'm not, man. I'm not even going to do it. It's going to be too much for me to think. I'm just going to actually probably put this back on. Let me go back to brand. Let me put that back up. I ain't even going to do nothing fancy, man. It's just about the content. You know what I'm saying? It's about I don't have Ron Phillips skills right now. I will in about a month. And it just thundered out. Oh. All right, what do we got? I think it's time. It's showtime. All right, here we go, folks. Hold on. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to this main event, the Rocci Stucci Show. Okay, here's the announcement. Just going to let everybody know right off the bat that I've kind of concluded. I'm teeter tottering here a little bit. Let's see. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays are going to be the solid foundation right now for the show. I'm debating. It can't be tomorrow because I'm going to catch some great white sharks. But I'm debating if I should just go 4 days straight, Monday through Thursday. I don't want to do a Friday show. I've done this for a long freaking time. Friday shows, they can be your best shows on the planet, but everybody's out doing stuff at Friday night at 7 o'clock, And even though I'm really pushing the audio side of this program, I still want friends to show up, man. You know what I'm saying? So as of right now, the Rocci Stucci Show is going to be broadcasting. It's going to be a live recording Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, 7 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central. Holy shit! 5 o'clock Mountain and 4 o'clock Pacific. Damn. Did I say that right? I think I did. But anyways, welcome to the program. I love you guys. It's StucciMedia.com, StucciMedia.com. And StucciCreations.com. I did an upgrade on the website. I'm feeling really good about myself about that. I feel accomplished. I feel like I'm getting things done. Things are going actually pretty damn good. You know what I'm saying? So StucciCreations.com. And then we also have HeroesGather.com and PulsePodcasting.com. Those are the 4 companies I have. Pulse Podcasting, it's a work in progress. Be patient. I did make one change. If you guys do have a podcast, there is no fee. If you want to go in and just put in your RSS feed, it won't be like an updated, where you can go in and do specific things. You can't create a page or anything like that. But if you put your RSS feed in there, it'll create your own podcast page, kind of like a iTunes. That's what it'll be like. There's no charge for that. I want to, and so if let's say you use Spreaker and you get monetized on Spreaker, you can go ahead and put your RSS feed and Pulse Podcasting, and you'll still get the credits for those clicks over on your Spreaker page. So any way I can help support shows, I know there's so many people out there that work so hard to try to get exposure, try to get some things moving. I got a lot of ideas with Pulse Podcasting, so hopefully we can get it to that level. I have live stream features on there. I have a whole bunch of AI features that are on there for different paid subscriptions. But we're working through all the kinks right now, and I have some people that have been helping me with that, and I'm super grateful. They get a lifelong membership too. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I can contribute, for the help. But it seems like everybody really appreciates that. So thank you all so much for being here. There's a couple things I want to cover really quick. What we're going to cover on the show tonight, the 2 main topics that we're going to cover on the show tonight are going to be some events that have happened over the 4th of July weekend in regards to certain marches, certain events that have happened around the United States, the hypocrisy of a lot of our arguments here within our society. I literally, my face hurts. See that? I got a pain. It's in both eyeballs at the same time. It's usually one eyeball or the other, but this one here is a double eyeball. That's kind of how we scale the amount of frustration I have with the stupidity that we have in this country. And when I say stupidity, let me say this. Since the 1990s, I might have already said this. So I got an ADHD problem. So sometimes I may say things 2 or 3 times. Just act like this is the first time you ever heard it. My dad has been telling me the same story since I've been a kid about things he's done as a child. And every time he tells me I act like it's the first time I've ever heard it. I'm like, that is awesome, Dad. That's so cool. Since the 1990s, the human being in the first time in recorded history, since the 1990s, have become dumber, right? And I think I did talk about this. We have become dumber, and it's showing. We've become so technologically dependent. And I know that they have like these pseudo academics out there. They have like legitimate reasons why they believe and why it's okay, right? So they're going to justify this. And I remember Ron and I, for a long time ago, we talked about a singularity. Will the human species somehow become on the same plane of existence, in thought? Will we become a singular thought society? And it kind of seems that. It kind of feels like the Jetsons shit happening here. You know what I mean? But so in recorded history since the 1990s, the human species has become dumber. Obviously, if you look at the streets, we got a bunch of animals out there right now. And they're doing animalistic shit, right? They're doing tribal shit. They're not doing educated shit. They're not doing civilized shit. They're doing tribalistic lunacy, like animal zoo bullshit. right? And the whole reasoning behind this, they say, I mean, AI is thinking for people. And that's great. But in order to go beyond what a narrative is, here's an example. I was doing something, right? I was pulling up some reports, I was pulling up some data for show material, and some of the information was restricted. It won't give me the information because it's not factually based, or they don't. It's more of a theory. It's not critical thought. This was the reasoning that you get from these AIs. And so it's just like, okay, so now anytime I see something online, I go on to AI fact check. I always ask people that. It's just like, before you post shit, man, seriously. I mean, if you're upset about CNN being fake news, then you need to stop being fake news. Fact check your bullshit before you post it. That's all I've ever asked people. I've made mistakes, and some of them are critical because there's people out there that are psychologically and mentally vulnerable to information, right? And that's not a punt. That's not a kick in your face. We just sometimes trust things, right? And sometimes we trust things because we want to, because it's convenient, or we want that to be the truth. So we just automatically believe it to be real. But I even caught myself. It's just like, so I'll go on to like Grok. And so sometimes Grok I've found to be probably the more stretchy, where, you can kind of get a little bit more into the depth of things. But it's just like, we're at the mercy of whoever owns these AI companies. And they now will dictate what truth is. And again, this is when I'm fact checking things on my AIs. This made me think about this. It's like, holy shit, I'm doing the same thing that I'm bitching about on the show. I'm literally going in and I'm fact checking my stuff on an AI platform. And whoever controls that AI platform controls the truth, right? You got Google Gemini, you have Grok, you have Claude, so you have like these little gangs now of fighting for your brain, fighting for your thought. And it's kind of creepy. It's kind of creepy. So I don't know what to do about it, but a lot of it makes sense when we look at the behavior of a lot of the things that we see today, right? And so this is one of the reasons why I wanted to go over the couple things in regards to marches, protests, thuggery. I don't know the proper terms to use for it right now. I got other terms I want to use, but I'm trying to, behave a little bit. And then after we cover this, I got some videos to show, but after we cover this, there has been some situations. And now here's the weird thing. This is how it's not even conspiratorial, but we're looking right now in what's happening in Cuba, and Cuba's grid is like, oh, that came out really good. That actually flowed out really nice. But their grid, let me go back to the chat. What up, Miss Mary? Morgan Snow. But their grid is down. Their grid is down. And so the first thing I think of is, man, first, we try to muscle our way in, because we don't really negotiate with nobody. We just pretend we do from a public matter. We act like we're sending people down to these countries. And behind the scenes, we're giving people ultimatums. I remember a long time ago, God, what was his name? I interviewed a guy, and his job, he titled it, he wrote a book, and his name will pop in my head, but he wrote a book called The Diaries of an Economic Hitman. And John something. See, it's coming back. I'm doing really good. And his job literally was to do these things, right? So he would go to these countries representing the government, and he would give them loans, or he would somehow try to coerce them into taking these loans from the United States, and a lot of these loans, they're unattainable. And purpose, because we wanted the loans to default, because then we can come in and we could do what the United States does best. In cooperation with our dumbing down education plus tech, critical thinking has absolutely decreased. And that's a proven statistic. That's not even a theory anymore. So Erica, you are spot on. It's 100%. You guys can, there it is. Here we go. You can Google it. You can go ahead and AI research that. It's a real thing. There's real studies that are absolutely support that we are literally dumber now. First time in recorded history. Every generation has been a little bit smarter than the last. And again, for obvious reasons. So now with obvious reasons, we should be like this monstrously intelligent, but we're not. We become mentally stupid and mentally lazy. Do you remember growing up? If you're up there in age like I am, when we had to remember phone numbers. I can't even remember Lisa's number, her cell phone number. I can't remember Rocky's cell phone number. I can't remember two phone numbers, but I can sure as hell remember my phone number when I was a kid. I can remember my phone number when I was a child, and I can remember back in the days when we had pagers. I remembered, I probably had a memory bank of like 50 numbers in my head that I could just boom, this is the number, this is their number, this is their number. And so, I understand, I guess, in a way, when we become more dependent on things, you know what I'm saying? Cell phones, computers, internet, when we start becoming more dependent on technology, there's no reason for us to try to remember things. And I'm not even saying that I think that that's some kind of manipulation. I think it's advancement, right? But I just don't think that the human species is 100% prepared for this onrush of information, technology, and I think that we just trust too much of the people that are in charge of this technology to where we think it's legitimate, and it's just it can be just another sinister tool for these cocksuckers to sit here and manipulate the thought process of these younger generations. Again, why was Charlie Kirk assassinated? Because he had the power of the young minds and he walked away from Israel. Boy, I tell you, if you're in a movement and you're this country, this little country that has all their hands in every pot that people piss in, and you start looking at areas of threat, and then you have a guy like Charlie Kirk who had the power to be able to relate. Okay, so here's an example. When I worked for Miracle League and I did all these games, I was able to connect with, I don't know if it was just because I understood autism or just the disabilities, or if I'm just literally, I can be, I don't know what it is, but I was able to relate with these kids. I was able to get them to trust me as a protector, right? To a point to where they were super excited to see me. They couldn't wait to come up and see me, and they wanted to do the interviews. And we become that kind of reliant on government, and so it's vulnerability, and it scares the shit right out of me. Let me see what Mary says here. Mary said that generations consuming fluoride in their water and additives in their processed foods haven't helped either. That's a huge point. That's a huge point. Fluoride in water, absolutely been proven what it does. But let's even go one more, Mary. Let's talk about vaccines. So, all the studies that have been done in regards to unvaccinated people, like the Amish, there's legitimate studies out there in regards to the Amish. They don't have autism. They don't have all these different types of sicknesses growing up. I mean, I remember growing up in grade school, none of my friends had any of the ailments. We didn't have special needs classes like they have now. So what changes? The amount of poison that we're putting in people's body. We're actually producing sick people. We're actually producing sick people, and we've been sold this ticket, right? We've been sold this ticket that medicine is biblical almost. And in a lot of ways it is, man. In a lot of ways, not biblical, but in a lot of ways, medicine has done really good things. It has helped a lot of people. It keeps people alive today. There's people that'll listen to this show that has to take something, and without it, it could be catastrophic for them. But we have those sick pieces of shit, human beings, that understand that is a great source of power. And I remember we were talking about one study that if they cured breast cancer, if they cured quote unquote breast cancer, then it would literally shut down our society because it would collapse our financial system. That's how much money goes into breast cancer every year, and the amount of people that it employs, the doctors and the nurses and all the office people that do all the office things. It's mind-blowing. It really is that curing one disease could collapse our economy. Same thing with crime. These things that we claim to fight and these things that we claim to combat, there's somebody walking their dog, and I got a window open, and I swear if that dog takes a shit in the yard, I'm grabbing this camera, and you're all coming with me. Because I'm not picking up another dog shit. Sorry. Wow, what a distraction. ADHD of talk radio, ladies and gentlemen, because I don't like picking up poop. What was I saying? Somebody help me out in the chat room. What was I saying? Help me out. Generations consuming fluoride, and then we talked about fluoride, then we talked about the vaccines, and that's all. That's it. Whatever. Oh yeah, coming up with cures. The criminal system. Okay, we legalize. Why why do we have to fight so hard to legalize marijuana? When there's actual more benefits than negative things that happens with marijuana, is because there's going to be other antidepressants and other types of medications that aren't going to be needed once somebody starts chewing on some gummies. You know, I'm starting to question literally everything, and I believe nothing anymore. I believe nothing anymore, and I don't know if that's toxic. I don't know if that's good. I don't know if that's bad. I don't know if it's indifferent. I just think everything is bullshit. So everything I see on social media, everything I see on the news, even I mean everything. Even conservatism is all bullshit. So how do I look at myself? Because the majority of my thoughts, the majority of my beliefs align with the conservative values. I believe in family. I believe in God. I believe in, just leave me the fuck alone. That's where I stand. Just let me go earn my money. Let me go pay what I feel is fair in taxes. And that's not even a reality. But when I come home, don't teach me or don't try to gaslight my shit. Don't try to tell me how to think. Don't tell me what I think is right is wrong and what's wrong is right. Don't try to celebrate your radicalism as patriotism with me and patriotism as radicalism, because I won't accept it. I won't accept it. I'm a stingy, stubborn son of a bitch. But I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid because I understand. I understand one thing. The one thing that we celebrated just the other day, 4th of July. And I think the further away we get from like the revolution, from the founding fathers, I think the further we get from what created the United States, the less relevant it becomes to younger generations, because we're getting people from all over the world that didn't understand why we fought for what we fought for. They didn't have to worry about it. They're coming now, and they're coming here for benefits. They're not coming here for opportunity. So their ideological path is a lot different than the American roots, that when you're born here and you understand, and I guess when you're a little bit older, we didn't have teachers that indoctrinated us, and we were taught the Constitution and why it was so important. We were taught the Federalist Papers. We were taught the things that were most relevant in understanding what freedom was. And now we don't know anymore as a society what freedom really is, because we don't have that kind of freedom. And when we talk about being overtaken and overrun and invaded, that's a real thing. And the people that come in and invade, people that come in and steal and take from you, they don't have the set values you have. A lot of these people that come in, they don't give a shit about family values, because most of them are middle-aged men that came into this country, and they've been placed all through the United States. We're seeing the catastrophic damage that's done in Europe, in Sweden, and Greece, Amsterdam. The number, I looked this up the other day. Go ahead and Google it, bitches. Just Google the shit. You know what I'm saying? The number one name in Britain right now, the most popular name, is Mohammed. The number two name in Amsterdam is Mohammed. So you have now in all these European countries, you're not having Jack or David or Charles or Peter or fucking Rocky. You know what I'm saying? Now you put more Rockies up in this son of a bitch, and we're going to have a whole change of shit going on, But no, now all over European countries, the number one name is Mohammed. So when you have all these Mohammeds that were born, and they're born with the Islamic ideology, the radical side of the Islamic ideology, they don't understand the history of those nations, and they'll overpopulate those nations, and they won't have the values, the core values. So they won't have that pride of country. So there's nothing for them to defend. They want their resources, and that's all they want. And that's the problem when you mix cultures like that. I believe that. This is just me. I'm not saying everything I'm saying is facts or right or wrong. I'm just speaking my opinion. This is all the conversations we had over all the years. But you're saturating a pride. And you're doing the same thing to the United States. Now, I'm going to say that I know a lot of Mexican people, and they love this country. Illegals and, people that are legal citizens. They love this country. They came here for the same reasons. A lot of them, not all of them, but they came here for the same reasons our forefathers did, right? Most Mexicans that I know are the hardest working son of a bitches I've ever met. I mean, seriously. And I'm not sitting here being biased. I'm just saying the work ethic. They have a real work ethic. I had to go to laundromat today. Our washer and dryer are broken. And we went in, down in Fort Lauderdale, there's a lot of Mexican people down here, a lot of Spanish people. And we went right in it was all Mexican. They barely spoke English. And I mean, I didn't have one problem. I almost kind of wanted to hug the person working there. I'm just like trying to speak Spanish to her and talk some shit. You know what I'm saying? I didn't worry about getting shot. I didn't worry about getting stabbed. There's no animalistic behavior. But what we're looking at now, when like Biden, I can't remember, 4 million people came in under the Biden administration, or was it more than that? Illegally came in here, and you saturate those people around the country. So now you're starting to saturate that patriotism, because these people don't give a shit about the Revolutionary War. They don't give a shit about what we had to do to separate ourselves with England and the kings and all that shit. So they don't have a value to that. So, the only patriotism they possess is celebrating on holidays and getting days off of work if they're working, right? So when you start saturating a culture of foreigners, well, then you lose your identity. You no longer are that homebred American, the Americans that we know, the ones willing to lay their fucking life for this country because we believed in all the sacrifices that were made. It's almost heartbreaking. It's almost heartbreaking when you start thinking about what so many people fought for. And then just to have this bullshit and to literally be spit in the face by the same elected officials that were supposed to be servants of the people, right? And it's like, I almost get sick of saying all that shit. We have literally handed our government all the power they want. They are not servants of the people. They're the most corrupt pieces of shit literally on this planet. So the one thing I always ask people is don't confuse patriotism with politicians, because if you're loyal to a politician, then you're not a patriot. You know what I'm saying? You're not a patriot. Politicians and even the Trumpism, right? These people Trump could take his shit in some people's mouths and they would be super excited about that. And it's just like, no, you can be critical, right? Because he's a person. He's a servant of the people. I don't give a shit how good his speeches were. I don't care about any of that. I've never been a loyalist to a politician. I think that's so fucking dangerous to be a loyal to any human being that makes decisions for a country, because we start selling them as celebrities. And then we start, and no matter what they do and what they say, we're just like, oh, let me fucking pinch my nipples while you talk. And it's gross. It really is. It's disgusting. And we have a lot of that. We have a lot of that. So we're going to get into this now. I'm going to get into it. Let me catch my breath really quick, because I want to talk about some of these marches that happened over the weekend and the disgusting bullshit that I've been seeing all over social media about the marches and the freedom of speech. And, it's freedom of speech is not something that is delegated. It's for every fucking American, right? And so let's talk about that right after we take this 15-second freaking breath break. Let's go. Whoa, wrong button. Folks, this is the Rocci Stucci Show. Do not forget to visit our website, StucciMedia.com, StucciMedia.com, StucciCreations.com, HeroesGather.com, and of course, PulsePodcasting.com. We love you. We appreciate you, and thank you all so much for being here. So actually, let's just start out with a video. Let's just do this. Let me do this here, and let me get this going, and let me go like this. Okay, let me come back to here. Well, I can't because I got to do this. So let's just watch this real quick, and then I'm going to come back.
stroke. I hope you suffocate. Heat stroke. Yeah, you do heat stroke. Oh, you been to the gym? How you sweat?
You need to sit, man? Don't mean to cramp you up here, sir. Ready for this food? We ain't getting no AC. Maybe I got in a camp. We're gonna die in the camp again.
All right, so this Patriot Front. I have I've been watching. I haven't said anything. I actually was going to do a video. Let me put on the check because I know that there's probably going to be some comments in there. I want to hear what you guys have to say about this, and all your opinions are valuable here. So it's not one sided. How do I choose the right words for this? Because I'm sick of the bullshit, right? I've been watching videos all day of a lot of these fucking animals in all these different cities lighting shit on fire, beating the shit out of cops over the 4th of July weekend. These teen takeover bullshit. I was up when it was in Clearwater, and I was up in that area at the time when that happened, where hundreds, if not thousands, of these animals took over an entire town, harassed people. The amount of people that go on the subways and have to watch for their lives. This privileged behavior bullshit. The amount of times we have watched Antifa burn fucking cities. We've watched Antifa burn fucking cities. We've watched Black Lives Matter, which has become a criminal organization. We've watched Black Lives Matters destroy their own neighborhoods. We watch these anti-ICE protests. We've watched how many insurrections into the fucking capitals around the country because these uneducated, sorry-ass humans that don't know how to think for themselves just want to create communistic disruption. But for some reason, all the same people that support that freedom of speech don't support this freedom of speech. I don't know anything about this group, this Patriot Front, Patriot Front group. I don't know a lot about them. I heard that they stem from the Charleston, which again was funded by a leftist organization, the KKK movement that was funded, and apparently the leader from this came from that somehow. Whatever. I don't even care. Because guess what? Every single one of them were Americans. Every single. If the Ku Klux Klan wanted to go march, that is their American right, right? That's their American right. It is just it's just their right to protest or to march or do whatever the fuck they want to do, as it is Black Lives Matter. Once we become a nation to where we sit here and start picking and choosing who can protest, who can march, who can and who can't, and I'm sorry, you call all the names you want, the Nazi bullshit, the white supremacist bullshit, that does not phase intellectual thinking, right? When somebody who actually has a brain and can intellectually think for themselves and they see that behavior where your first reaction is a fucking name, that just tells me that you're not at an intellectual level to even have a conversation with. That's what that tells me. And I really need people to understand that. You sound stupid. You sound incredibly stupid when the only thing you can do is call somebody a Nazi or a white supremacist or you don't like brown people. Why? Because I have a fucking opinion because that whole group of people were a bunch of animalistic savages? And you're going to pretend they're not because somehow they're fucking oppressed, but yet they don't have a job and they're wearing $800 shoes and they got $2,000 iPhones? They're oppressed? What about the working class? The people that have to work 2 fucking jobs, that have no money, they bust their ass, break themselves just to be broke. That's not oppression? Because they're paying for the animalistic behavior. And when the working class actually has an opinion in regards to these savages, they get crucified. They lose their jobs. They're afraid. And people used to ask me all the time, Rocky, aren't you a little nervous on what you say? No, I'm not, because this is the American way. And if somebody or some job is going to sit here and judge me because I have an opinion, I don't want to work for them, because they're suppressing my freedom of speech and they're using it as a fucking weapon. And I would not allow that. I would rather be fucking homeless, because you know what? The last 2 years, I had nothing. I had nothing. And I fought every fucking day to keep my integrity with nothing. And you know what? You learn a lot about the world when you have nothing, when you lose everything, when all the people you thought you could fucking trust were nothing but fucking animals that were no different than the monsters that roam those fucking streets. They just wear a suit. They're just as evil. They're just as vindictive. And they're going to preach to me? I don't fucking think so. Not my fucking world. Not today. Not tomorrow. Not ever. I will go to my fucking grave with nothing, but they, at least motherfuckers will look at me and they'll say, you know what? He stood his fucking ground. And the funniest thing is I'll be that first person, and a lot of you will be that first person that'll show up when a child needs help, when somebody is threatened, when a family is being threatened, you know, or kidnapped or whatever it was, right? We show up. We're the ones that show up, not the people that are preaching what to do and what not to do. The ones that get judged, the ones that have been broken, are the ones that'll be there for the other people that are broken. They feel threatened. And that's another reason why I did a lot of stuff with the special needs community. Because, you know, I heard a lot of people talk shit. When I was in Texas, all the people that, oh man, I can't wait to come there and support these kids and do all, I'm going to come to one of those games. I'm going to come and check it out. Never saw them. Never saw one of them. There were times where there were 7 people in the stands, and those were the parents. Sometimes it would be 15 people. Those were the parents. None of the people that talk all the shit, none of the people that preach all the bullshit that they preach, all the Jesus stuff that they talk, and all the integrity stuff that they talk, and all the morality shit that they talk, they never showed up. They never showed up. So, you know, it becomes not just a responsibility, it becomes a duty. You know, because those kids, they get 1 day a week to come out on that field and feel like a kid, because most of them with their disabilities, they have to go home and they're in a controlled environment. A lot of them can't go outside for the rest of the week. They sit there and look at 4 fucking walls until they can come back and be interviewed by the meatball. So I don't mind being judged. I don't mind being judged, because your judgment is your lack of intelligence. That's where I stand. And I'm going to tell you something. I had to really teach myself that, because I dealt with anger, man. I dealt with anger, realizing how pathetic and hypocritical this world really is. It's not easy, man. It's not easy to sit here sometimes and to pretend I actually believe half the shit people say to me. It's not easy. I find myself, as soon as work is done, I'm going fishing with my boys. I'm going and catching a fish, because the farther away from humans I can be, the better. I stay safe that way. I stay safe that way. I'm going to see, what is Erica saying here? Erica says, once you know it's intentional, they're doing it on purpose. What do you do? Oh, wow. You're dropping some questions. It's our culture, and if you weren't raised with it, regardless of your side, you will never understand it. That's a damn fact. Let me see here. Mary said, cults of personality have no place in our politics on either side. And you know what? We have an issue with cultism, right? Not the cultism that we're thinking of. It's very tribalistic. And so, you know, the things that the left actually gets away with. And you know, I don't know. I don't think a lot of you really ever, I never degraded. I never said libtard. I've never degraded. I got a lot of friends that are old school liberals, right? And they're really good people, right? They're really good people. And they just, we think different politically. But we're all grown up enough to say, hey, you know what? You go ahead and speak your politics. I'll speak my politics. And when we're done, I'm going to meet you at that event, and I'm going to give you a big hug, because I'm going to be super happy to see you. But let me see here. This is really weird, and it's probably going to throw a lot of you off, is that I actually have show notes. Really? Really? All right. But so here's the hook. Hundreds of masked members of the Patriot Front A white nationalist group. So now I don't even know that, right? I don't even know that they're a white nationalist group because media calls them a white nationalist group. They could just be a bunch of pissed off Americans sick of the bullshit. And this is where we're going to go with this because sooner or later, this ice is going to fucking crack, right? Sooner or later, something is going to break in society and you're going to start seeing more of this. But it said they marched through Washington, D.C. on July 4th, the nation's 250th anniversary celebrations, chanting, "Reclaim America," and carrying flags, some depicting the Confederate imagery. The group broke off from, what was that, Vanguard America after the 2017 Charlottesville Unite the Right rally. And they're saying that the founder of this group came from the Unite the Right rally. The official response is Interior Secretary Doug Burgum said federal officials had no legal basis to stop the march because of free speech protections. Even though he called the group's ideology something he could not possibly agree with, he noted that anti-Trump protesters on the National Mall enjoy the same constitutional protections. 100%. That's the point. Why couldn't these leftist radicals, these LGBTQ community psychopaths, the Black Lives Matter psychopath, we have all these YNs running around like a bunch of fucking animals. Why is it that they can literally burn cities and they get rewarded for this? We had Democrats proven in the past that paid these people, that paid for their transportation, that paid for them to be there. That is why they're not held accountable for that is still beyond my understanding. And I'm not even for sure 100% how white national this group is because it's a bunch of white guys that are sick of the bullshit. This is where things are going to happen. And so this is why there's always broken leadership in this country. This is why groups like Oath Keepers don't exist anymore. This is why they broke up Oath Keepers. This is why they break up any type of patriotic front that's gaining momentum. Remember the Bundys? Remember all that? There were patriotic fronts that start to get momentum. Charlie Kirk on a Christianity level start gaining momentum and they have to destroy it. They have to destroy it. So right away I knew without saying, and honestly, they didn't even know how many of these people were white or black because they all had masks on. And I don't know why they were so uncomfortable with these people wearing masks when the YNs are running all over the United States like a bunch of little fucking thugs, and they always got masks on. They always got their hoods up. They always got backpacks with some shady shit in their backpacks, but that's acceptable. It's okay for the YNs to do it. It's okay for the radical Islams, the same ones that are claiming New York has been conquered. It's okay for them to be running around with their faces covered, but you get a bunch of white guys that show up with their faces covered. We got a big fucking problem. That's the difference in the bullshit that I get so sick and tired of. That's the difference in the hypocrisy. That shit just gets fucking old. So it's just like they had every right to march. They had every right to do anything that they wanted to do, how they wanted to do it, where they wanted to do it. It don't matter what I think. It don't matter what I think of them. It don't matter what I think of their ideology. It don't matter what you think of them. It's their God-given right in this country. It's what men and women have died for 250 fucking years, is to give them the ability to have a voice. And once we start accepting taking some voices away and allowing other ones, we're fucking done. We're fucking done in this country. A late September 2025 PBS NPR Marist poll found roughly 3/4 of Americans believe the U.S. has gone too far in restricting free speech, while 19% said that the country has gone too far in expanding it. Expanding it. What's expanding it? You mean allowing some people to have a voice as well? Or is it just the BLM that was supposed to have a voice? A Pew survey from last September 2025 found Americans split almost evenly on whether left-wing or right-wing extremists is a bigger problem. Think about that. Just hold on, right? Left-wing or right-wing. So when I say left-wing, everybody can automatically think of multiple groups that have created mass destruction. Tell me a right-wing, and I'm not saying they're not there. Trust me, I know they are. right? I don't want to sound like a hypocrite myself. But tell me the last right-wing extremist group that has done anything that is Antifa's done, that has done anything that BLM has done. Tell me one that has gone into any town, and the only thing people are going to come up with as an argument is, oh, well, January 6th. Really, January 6th? We can have a conversation about that too, and the manipulation about that. So give me one, and please leave it in the comments or wherever and whenever you're watching this. If you're listening to this, I want to hear. Give me an example where any right-wing group did anything remotely as violent and as fucking radical as these left-wing groups. But apparently we're split 50-50. So obviously we know who's picking what because we're picking our tribe. And we're saying, well, our tribe isn't, it's the left wing. And the left wing is saying it's the right wing. They call us Nazis, but they have no grounds on the Nazi ideology. They have no grounds of it. What, because we're critical of Israel? That makes you a Nazi? What makes these people Nazis? What makes these people fascists? It's kind of like they're projecting. On political violence, generally, the country splits almost exactly along party lines on who's more at risk. 74% of Republicans worry more about violence against public officials. 70% of Democrats worry more about violence against protesters. Global Contacts, Pew has found that one category of speech most Americans don't want protected is called for violent protests. Only 44% support that. Useful nuisance, and it's not anything goes. The Interior Secretary's own statement gives you the consistency argument on the silver platter. He explicitly said that some protections apply to groups he finds repugnant and to anti-Trump protesters. I don't know. I don't even know. Like if somebody asked you, and they says, "Give us a prediction." They're like, "Give us a prediction. What would you see this world to be like in another 15 years, another 20 years? Where do you think, or what do you think this world will look like if we continue going down the same path? What do you think it'll look like?" Because I know that even personally, like even within my own family, there has been disruptions in regards to political views. But you know, when I look at all these videos, and I have other videos to play, and it's like I don't even want to promote it, but I pulled up videos as comparison of what a lot of these thugs were doing over the 4th of July weekend, and there was videos where cops were getting beat. Cops were getting fireworks shot at them. But all we keep hearing about is this Patriot Front. And so I can go back maybe a decade, maybe longer than a decade, to where there's been this huge anti-white movement. DEI, where if you're anything but white, you were going to get a job. And it seems like to be white now in this country, things are harder. And I think what's going to end up happening, and again, this is why they keep breaking organizations, is because you don't want to have an organized base of people at a national level, because the shit would be shut down super quick. But honestly, and from an intellectual standpoint, white people are sooner or later going to get pissed. And that's a boiling pot that's boiling right now. That is a legitimate boiling pot that's boiling right now, to where people can't even go to restaurants. They can't go to state fairs. They can't go to public events without worrying about some ghetto ass bullshit happening, or being harassed, or being beat, or watching police officers continue to get brutalized out in the street, watching social justice, watching people get prosecuted to appease public opinion. George Floyd. There was just something out on that Asian officer with George Floyd. He was just there. And he's been in prison for 5 years because he was there. because he didn't stop the cop. What happened to a republic? You know, what happened? We will sit here and we will put people in prison to please a radical front in this country and not represent the true rule of law. We become that corrupt. So what's the breaking point? Is it going to be us getting sick of the politicians? Because as a country, we're not united. No, blacks have been taught to hate whites, and whites are being sick of being fucking hated and disrespected. So there's always going to be the racial divide. That's the unintelligent people, right? That's where all the people that memes, Facebook memes are their reality and their biblical information. But anybody on an intellectual level can actually see that. And if we actually had a race war in this country, then it's actually the people that created it are the ones that are getting away with it, because it's the political movement. It's the AIPAC people. It's Israel. It's the politicians. It's the presidents. It's all those people. It's the corporations. They're all responsible for igniting this. Look at mainstream media. When the fuck are we going to hold them accountable? They are the source of the propaganda. Obama went and he changed that law to where it was legal to produce propaganda on American citizens. Why does that even exist? I don't even understand in my brain how that's even possible, that there could be a law that protects propaganda against its own people in the United States. Again, aren't these motherfuckers supposed to be servants of the people? I thought they were supposed to be servants of the people. But they become servants of propaganda. They've become servants of fucking greed. They become servants of the fucking demon. You know what I'm saying? They become servants of this dark ass world because their little dick needs to get jerked off the fucking feeling of power. So this is why it's just like, we got to be so careful when we talk about the brewing issues between cultures within our country, because the people that we would be fighting against in the streets aren't actually the aggressors. It's the people up there. It's the people making the laws. It's these big ass corporations that are literally shutting down every working class citizen in this country. And I'm starting to think that the American citizen, literally, I'm honest. I honestly think this: we are economic slaves. The working class in the United States is economic slaves. Our taxes don't even go to fund the government. Our working taxes, the money that comes out of our checks, don't even go to fund our government. So where does that money go? It's all fake money, and we're imprisoned by it. We're imprisoned by it. I just don't know how any of this makes sense. I really don't. I really, really don't. Let's see. A patient cured is a customer lost. That's a damn fact, Mary. That is a damn fact. I'm just scrolling down here looking at some comments. I like to go down. Let's see what we got here. Mary says that while we may have freedom of speech, I still find that I censor myself. Boom. There are things I'll never say on social media or even over a phone. I just don't trust those in position. Mary, you are speaking for so many people when you say that. I think we all are guilty of that. Even as rambunctious as I get, there are still things that I know that are trigger marks. And we have to still stay in an area of visibility. And if we do say certain things, yeah, you're exactly right. But sooner or later, there's going to be that boiling pot. We hold in, like even like we hold things in for so long, we just. But you're exactly right. And are we supposed to be afraid of the same government that, that's supposed to protect us? And so that answers the question is that a lot of people are. A lot of people are afraid of the consequences of their own opinion. So sometimes this ideology shit is forced on people and it becomes real. It becomes real. Erica, you're right. And that's what's going to happen. And, honestly, when you start talking revolution, it's not the people. It's not a different culture within our streets. That's the problem. It's the people up there, right? And the only solution to that would be that, and to even think that it's kind of scary. But sometimes it gets to a point where it's just like, give me the motherfucking shovel. Sometimes, and I think I'm speaking for a lot of people. when it comes to this. I think sometimes people get to a point where there's like, give me the shovel, give me the pickaxe. They're so tired of working so hard for absolutely nothing and to be degraded all the time by it, to be constantly degraded by just trying to do the best you can in life. And now you start looking at the taxes and the monetary system, the corporation takeover, the corruption within our political system, the Epstein files. You have Israel and the IDF, and I mean, literally have their hands in everything around the planet that destroys everything. Sooner or later, there's going to be a snapping point. And this is why when they see groups like this Patriot Front or whatever the new group's going to be or whatever this group's going to be, this is why when they see these groups, they're the fucking threat. Black Lives Matter isn't the threat. Antifa isn't the threat. It's going to be these type of organized groups that are the ones that are the threat. These are the well-trained, well-thinking individuals. Whether you believe in their ideology or not, they are the greatest threat to a government. Again, the government that's supposed to be the servants of the people, and they're not. They're finite. They're gone. No more. So yeah, that's literally what's going to happen. When? That's when I asked the question, where do you see us in 20 years? Where do you see us? Where do you see us in 50 years? Do you think that we'll figure it out? Do you think we'll get all of our debt taken care of? Or are they going to purposely collapse our monetary system so we can go to digital currency and then we can become digital slaves? What is the right outcome? And who's optimistic about it? Who feels kind of like we're going to figure it out? That who's going to come in that's going to say the same shit Trump did, but is actually going to do it? Who's going to be the next hero as president of the United States that's going to come and fix all of our problems? Because anytime any president tries to fix our problems, they disappear. They've been assassinated. JFK was our last great one. I had hopes in Trump. Trump has become the biggest disappointment. I actually despise his name now, and I'm not a blacklister. I think he has turned his back on his entire base, the same people that got him voted. He went and he grabbed his ankles for Israel. He started a war in Iran that he cannot finish. I mean, we're not even talking about it right now, but we're still kind of negotiating. Now he gave him 2 more months. Every single thing he said he was going to do to help these people, but he's more worried about his golden statues. He's more worried about, his family getting land over in Gaza so they can build their hotels. They're more worried about the oil fields in Syria. They're more worried about their generational wealth. They don't give a shit about you. They don't give a shit about me. They don't give a shit about the American people. They say whatever the fuck they got to say to get up on that stage and to get our votes and voting into a corrupt voting system. So, I mean, where does anybody feel secure in any way, shape, form, or fashion? Where does anybody feel secure? I don't. I really don't. So I ranted on too long about that, but I love you guys, man. And then here we got this situation in Cuba. I was going to play a video on that too, but I'm not going to. But I was prepared to. I got it in my notes. I got video queued. So I think some of you should be really proud of me right now because this never used to be my style. The grid system is down in Cuba. And I know Trump's been muscling Cuba a little bit. And I think this was back when I was referring to like the economic hitman. Cuba's not complying really with how we want it to do, but we want to own Cuba. Trump just says, if I want Cuba, I'll just go take it. You don't say shit like that because, how do you gain loyal people when you just say, I'll come and take your shit? How's Venezuela doing? We went in and took over their oil. I don't understand, how we're in a global oil crisis when Trump literally went in and the United States went over and took over the bank accounts of all the oil distribution in Venezuela. I understand why they want to take Cuba. It's very strategic, but I'm kind of sick and tired of the United States going in and muscling people. I'm kind of sick and tired of the United States going in other countries and literally somehow making certain people disappear so they can put their people in power. So we can get whatever we want and we deprive their people. That's not a negative comment. That's factual. We can study it historically. We have done it over and over and over again in South American countries. We did it in Panama. We had the Panamanian president assassinated because he was going to give the Panama Canal contract to Japan. We don't like that because, we built it. So we thought that we deserved to have control of it. Why doesn't Panama have control of it? I understand what we're doing. I understand why we're doing it. I just don't agree with the fact that we enslave people. So a small population of people can benefit from this immense amount of sacrifice that people make in their lives to try to survive, And I guess I get tired of looking around at so many people I care about, so many of my friends, and people even that are not my friends. I see people struggle in this world, and there's so many people trying to figure shit out. All while these group of fucking cockroach suits are making billions of dollars off wars, and they're making billions of dollars off stealing other countries' oil and their diamonds and their heroin, their opium in Afghanistan. It's why do we have to be the slave to that? But we think being able to go fishing is freedom. We think going outside and putting a flag on our vehicle and driving up and down the street. What are we patriotizing over? When we're sitting here and we're pounding our chest, again, this is not an anti-country thing. I love this fucking country, and I can differentiate the difference between my patriotism and support for radical ass politicians. But why don't we put that energy somewhere else? So I've seen all these vehicles with flags on it, and it's just like, I love seeing it because I've always been about that. But it's like, what exactly are we celebrating? We have the most corrupt fucking system in the world, and everything that the founders wrote in that Constitution to protect us from, we allowed to happen. A republic, ma'am, if you can keep it. A republic, ma'am, if you can keep it. We didn't keep it. We lost it. And exactly when, I don't know. It's not anti-American, it's pro-American to make sure that all the sacrifices that have been made in 250 years don't go in vain. All the fucking families that we watch bury their teenage children that went and fought for this country that didn't die in vain. All the sacrifices made by World War I, by World War II, Vietnam, Korean War, all the wars that the United States continually is in, all the Middle East fights, all the brothers I know right now that are dealing with PTSD, that are dealing with no limbs, a lot of them didn't make it home. All the brothers that will go the rest of their life, somehow chemically dependent or pharmaceutically dependent because of all the shit that they've been through fighting for the freedom of this country, all for these politicians to take a shit on them. I got a problem with that. I have a big problem with that. And I won't be silent about it. Silence empowers them and it weakens us. That's what it does. It silenced them and it weakens us. Yeah, you better not let your dog shit on my yard. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, folks, I love you, man. And this is why we're here. This is why the Rocci Stucci Show is back, because we're going to start hitting these issues. Not all these shows are going to be super serious, man. I think we're going to do a show about paranormal or so UFOs or being alien abducted on Wednesday or something like that. Let's see. Mary said that, hell, most people don't even seem to know we're supposed to be a republic. They just keep talking. It drives me crazy. This is what a democracy looks like. I could pee in their face on accident. You know what I'm saying? It would be an accident. I'm not saying I would do it, but if I was peeing and somebody was there to accidentally hit their face, I wouldn't feel bad. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you're exactly right. They don't even have a clue. Like when you say, no, we're not a democracy, we're a constitutional republic. They're like, well, what is that? A land of law, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? We're a land of law. That's what we are. A law that we don't abide to, that actually we get held to, that's standard, but these same politicians, the same ones that create the laws, are the same ones breaking it. But damn, don't drive through a stop sign. I'm glad I'm back too, Erica. Thank you. I appreciate it. We got a lot of work to do, girl. So, so Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays right now for the Rocci Stucci Show, we do the live recording right here on my YouTube channel. And then, of course, all the audio gets pushed out. It'll get pushed out tomorrow morning, and that's where the big bang for the buck is. So I love you guys. I'm glad that we're here. I'm glad that I'm back. I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling like right here in my head really good. I appreciate all your love and support that I've gotten from everybody over the last couple of years. It's been a rough ride. But you know what? When we fall, we get the fuck back up, and that's what we're doing. So with that being said, boys and girls, from my family to yours, much love, much respect. And, of course, until Wednesday night, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 6 o'clock Central, Rocci Stucci Show for my family to yours. I said this already. Much love, much respect. And don't forget rule freaking number one. You know what I'm talking about? Don't take shit from nobody. I love you guys. Now.